Hello, you wonderful Life Path 9 person. Welcome to your 2023 Tarot Scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So, for those of you that checked in on these month by month, every 3 months, or however it is that you did it, I just want to say a huge, heartfelt thank you so much for all of your support throughout the year of 2022 for my work. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys come back and you share with me like how these show up for you. It absolutely means the world, and I love interacting with you guys on the comments and how it shows up. All right, so with that said, I would like to bless my cards and this reading with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So this year, my dear Life Path 9, right, what does this year have in store for you? So if you've been with me long enough, you know whenever I do anything like this, if it's a lengthy one, there are always going to be notes somewhere hidden around if they're not in my hand. And that's because I like to give you guys as much information as possible to really prepare you for the year ahead so that you can get clear on how things are going to take place for you. Now, this year, how does your number interact with the year ahead? That's what we're really looking at here. This year is going to be a slow and steady year. It's going to be a year for you to make your moves slowly and steadily. All right, this is a year for growth, but it actually can be a great year for growth for you guys, but it's going to require attention to detail. It's going to require you to show up. It's going to require you to be in your integrity. Now, you guys tend to be very good with this kind of stuff anyway. You're quite committed, quite dedicated, especially where whatever you're doing benefits other people. This year, if you want your own stuff to grow, if you want your own things to really start to take off, you have to show up for yourself. You've got to cross your T's, you've got to dot your I's, and you have to be present. You have to do the hard work, right? Now, this is a year for you to be patient, diligent. It's also as well, when it comes to delving into your deepest self, this is a year for you to work on discovering who you are now. So what this really means for me is, like, this year you're really being asked to dig into who you are now and what it is that you really want, and where the two either do or don't mix or match, right? So as an example, you wake up, you say, right, you know what, I want six pack and all the rest of it. If you're the sort of person that eats a lot of sugar like me, obviously something about what you're doing currently is going to need to stop, right? So this is about really looking at the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, and you've got to be really honest with yourself. This is going to be a year where that sort of facade is going to have to come down. All right, so this is also a really good year for you to discover how far you've come. What is it that you want for your future? This is a really good time to take stock of life, to take stock of where you're at, to take stock of what is working for you at this moment in time. Create a journaling practice this year if you can. Even better, a meditative or a spiritual practice. Like this year, if you can do anything of that nature, right, where it's really getting you to tap into your intuition, to pay more attention to your spiritual side or spiritual self or your deep internal self, this year those things are highly favored for you. This is a great year to delve into spiritual sciences, as I like to call them. And this is like a really good year as well to use those spiritual sciences to discover who you are at the core level. Are you living your purpose? Do you feel aligned with the life that you're trying to build with yourself? If not, these things, tarot, astrology, numerology, human design, the I Ching, runes, even, you know, a psychic, all of these types of things can really help you get into and dig into this year what it is that you're really seeking or searching for, and more importantly, where those things align with what your your energy, your soul's purpose actually is. This is a really great year to discover what that looks like for you. So and then finally, I've got this is a year for you to disappear, become a ghost, regenerate yourself, unless you're in a personal year 1, personal year 3, personal year 5, in which case this will work slightly differently for you, right? Check out your personal year vibration as well to see how it marries up. But unless you're in one of those, this is a year where you disappear. You become a ghost, a bit of a cipher, right? The social life takes a back seat. You kind of say, look, guys, you know what? I love you. I'm just not going to be as present this year because there's things that I need to work on. While you're in that sort of slower, a bit lonelier, a bit more kind of focused, dedicated, hardworking, while you're in that sphere of your life, this is the time for you to really rebuild, create, regenerate and change who you are in accordance with what you believe your soul's life mission or purpose to be. And once you have those things figured out, then you can step forward, right? And then at that point, when you come back into your, into a different year's vibration, at that point, you explode onto the world and you kind of say, right, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what's important to me now. But this is the year for you to kind of pull back, right? Pull back into refocus, rededicate, rebuild, all of those things behind the scenes. So in terms of your sectors, when it comes to your money and your finances, unless you're in an 8 year, right? This is what I will say to you, unless you're in a personal year 8 and possibly a personal year 1, this year consider that everything that you need will be available to you. This might not be a year where the big money shows up or there's a surplus. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just means it gives you less distractions so that you can work that little bit harder on what's important to you at the moment. This is teaching you to, and the reason this is happening, it's teaching you to rely on a source greater than you that knows how to meet your every need. If you gain money from business, put it back into the business. Be smart with your cash this year. Be frugal, be prudent with your investments. Also, if you know nothing about what you want to invest in, either learn about it, which you could do very, very well with this year, learning specifically, or leave it alone. If it's not something that you don't know a lot of, or you don't know well, like really well inside and out, don't put your money there. All right. Even if it's tipped to be the next this and if it's not something that you yourself know well, leave it alone. All right. When it comes to love, this is a year to deepen your bond and your relationship with your significant other, to learn how to read your partner, to anticipate their needs. Now, this happens over the course of a relationship anyway. It does naturally, right? You'd start to discover what your partner likes, what they need. You know, you start to read their signs, like, okay, yeah, they're hungry or they're this. It's like having a man or a woman child of your own, right? You start to develop that knowledge of what your partner's needs and wants and desires are and how they react to certain situations. This is a year to take that beyond that, to the point where your partner might be like, okay, this is weird now. Like, how are you guessing exactly what I want or need at any given moment? It's because you're deepening your bond with them, but you're also heightening your sensitivity to what their needs are. I will say for this year, if you are partnered, married, or in a long-term relationship, and I've advised this for everybody, but it's definitely important for you guys specifically, right? In the 2023 year, which is a universal year 7, it's very important, even if it's just like, ideally I would say to everyone, take a month out where you don't have, but that's not ideal. It's not modern life. At least once, if not 3 times throughout this year, take a long holiday, right? Thursday through Monday, take a long weekend away where you're not a mum or a dad or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or where you're not anything to anyone, right? And this is really, really important for a 7 year. You must have time alone to listen to your own thoughts, to hear your own soul or psyche breathe. This is about really reconnecting to yourself. And sometimes the only way to do that is to spend time away from other people. Switch the phone off, turn the Wi-Fi off, go out for walks, take time, even if it's only an hour out of the week. And this is really important for next year, guys. It's the way that everybody's going to flourish. Spend time alone. Spend some time just disconnecting from everything and everyone so that you can allow your own inner wisdom to speak. This is about detoxing the mind, detoxing the body, detoxing the heart and the emotions, and detoxing the soul. It's so important to do this in the next year, right? Just as important as it is to to build a spiritual practice, which if you've been with me long enough, you know I talked about this long ago. Way back in 2021, I was telling people to do this stuff so that they were ready for, do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, for those of you that are single, it might be harder to find love this year unless you're in a 2-year or a 6-year. It might be a little bit more challenging. You might not want to, or there might not be as many opportunities, but what that does create is a lot more time, energy, and freedom for you to work towards your goals. If along that path you meet somebody that aligns with those goals, even better. All right, so yeah, the other thing as well is if you're learning that much more about yourself, as you uncover new layers of who you are and what you believe, you will need somebody that resonates at that frequency. All right. So when it comes to your warning, don't force anything this year. Don't rush it. If you try to rush stuff this year, you're going to break it. Best piece of advice I can give you. If you do, you're yeah, just don't rush it. All right. Dig beyond the surface. Whatever the answer, dig deeper, right? And it's one of those things, like if you ask someone a question, they give you an answer, and you probe and you ask some more questions around that same question, and they don't kind of marry up with the original answer that you got. That is the kind of digging. Now, don't become paranoid, don't become mean, don't become, you know, like a tyrant of asking questions and interrogating people. But this year, don't accept the first answer that you get. Don't accept things at face value, all right? And then finally, when it comes to work, this is a year you have to research your butt off. Whatever you work in, whatever sector you work in, whatever industry is yours, whatever job you do, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else, this year you must dedicate time to learning, to deepening your knowledge around the craft that is yours, right? Whether that's working in a bar, right through to being a CEO, whatever it is that you do, you have to deepen your knowledge of what you do this year. Might also be a really good time to go back to the basics of your art. So as an example, for me, this would be maybe taking a new tarot course, going right back to the beginning. What are the majors? What are the right? Taking it right back to the basics. Hone and refine your skills and your knowledge. That's how you win this year. If you're looking for work, use this year to discover what your passion is so that you can fulfill your purpose. All right, so you know, all the light fluffy stuff, nothing too drastic. All right, so this year, or should I say, as always, you're going to get one destiny card, one direction card for each month, and we're going to go from there. And remember that your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're having. It almost kind of sets the tone, or kind of says, right, at base level, this is going to be one of the big trends or themes that's going on for you. Now, what you need to know is, what you need to know is that as we start the year, Mars is going to be retrograde in Gemini and Mercury is going to be retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So as we start this year, it is going to feel a bit slower. You might think to yourself, like, you know, it's not that usual surge of like, yeah, it's a new year, I'm jumping in, I'm going to make this happen. It's not that this year. This is more of kind of like a, okay, I'm starting the year. I know that things need to change. I know that I need to do certain things in order to make it a success, but, right? So it's a little bit slower. However, your first card out for the year is the Tower card, right? Expect some changes, expect some adaptations, expect some hairpin rights and lefts, expect some moments where you have to adapt or change your plans at the last minute. Remember, this card kind of signifies what you're getting a lot of over the course of this year. Change, potentially disruption, liberation, freedom. These are all of the nice things about the Tower that people don't talk about. Yes, it can be heavy. Yes, it can be shocking. Yes, sometimes it's going to tear your fucking life down. But the beauty of the Tower is whatever survives the Tower in your life, you know you can trust that. Look, I got my little goosebump shiver there, so I know I'm talking sense, right? You know that whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a job, whatever it is, if something in your life survives that, you know it's supposed to be in your life because it survived the hardest moments that you could potentially go through. Now, the beauty of this card is realization, the cracking of illusions, where you come to see something for exactly what it is. This could be, you know what? I've been friends with this person 15 years, we've been tight, suddenly realise, you know what, this person's been backstabbing me for the last 5 years of our lives, right? It could be, you know what, I've been friends with this person 10 years, suddenly realise, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this person and that's why we get on so well. Do you see what I mean? Like this, sometimes it can be a really good thing, but it can be a really shocking moment and the way that it shows up. That being said, January, you're coming into this year ready to do battle more than anything else. What I find really interesting is the Tower card is Mars, right? Yes, it's Uranus, it's the shocking side of Uranus, but it's also Mars, and the Life Path 9, your ruling planet, is Mars. So, like, you got a double hit of this energy as you come into this year, which I think is actually very good for you. Remember though, your ruling planet, for your life path at least, is retrograde in a sign that it doesn't do so great with, and that could uncover. January is going to be a month where some piece of information that comes to you or finds you is likely going to maybe piss you off a little bit. It might give you a little bit of a, I can't believe this is happening. It might be a moment of realization. It's probably going to come through a conversation. That's what I feel it is. It's like somebody says something to you and you're like, holy crap, I didn't even think of that, or I didn't even consider it. And to clarify, wow. All right, so here's where this gets super interesting. You've got the Fool card coupled with the Tower. That is a surprise upon surprise. That is a moment, and I don't say this lightly. If you've been with me long enough, you know I'm not one of these readers, right? That is a moment of pure destiny. That is a moment of surprise, a moment of change. This is something that disrupts your plans, but it's supposed to be in your life. Why do I say that? Because the Fool card always brings in something new that is supposed to be in your world. It's an experience or an item or a person that comes into your world that is supposed to be there. But because they come with the Tower, it's like this thing or this connection or even this person completely off-puts you. You're like, oh my gosh, like I don't really know what to do with this right now. You will know what to do with it as the weeks and months go on, but it's probably going to be a very interesting start to the year for you guys. For February, you have the Faith card. So this is the Hierophant card, but it also represents actual faith, religion, spirituality. And because you've got this energy sort of pervading the year for you, and the year itself is going to be very focused on religion, spirituality, faith, the whole world's faith in some way, shape or form is definitely going to be tested this year. Now, what I can also tell you is that for you personally, this might be like, you know, this thing comes into your life, this experience takes place or happens, and you're like, okay, I don't really know how to deal with this, so I'm just going to pray to the heavens to reveal a way to me. This is where you start to understand that relying on the internal you, listening to the deep part of yourself, tapping into your innate wisdom, spirituality, connecting with the universe or God is what gets you through this, is what helps you understand not only yourself more, but why these experiences are showing up for you. On top of that, you've got the 9 of Swords, right? So I'm going to be honest, February is also, like January, I think has the potential to be a really good month. It just brings you something that you don't really know what to do with, right? You've got and interestingly enough, the 9 of Swords represents Mars in Gemini. And Mars is going to be in Gemini right up to, it's finished its retrograde in February, but it's going to be there right up until March, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Now, this 9 of Swords with the Hierophant card, this could be a worry about your business. It could be a worry about the employer that you work for. For some of you, if you're partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this might be a time where you're a bit worried about your relationship or your marriage. I gotta be honest with you, I kind of get the feeling that it's it's not necessarily like, maybe you're hyping it up, like maybe you don't actually have to be worried about it. It's like, because you've had something so unsettling happen in January, you're kind of like, oh, you know, and that's it, now my marriage is going to go. And it's like, nobody said that. All right, like, try not to, I know these are heavy cards, but try not to catastrophize at this point, because you'll only add to it. All right, this is a time where leaning on your faith, your hope, your religion, if you have one, or, you know, even developing a spiritual practice will really help you through this year. I cannot stress that enough. For March, May and October are going to be packed months astrologically. None bigger than March, though, I gotta say, right? Saturn is moving out of the sign of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces. I'm happy about this one because it means Sky Papa's going to be drunk, which means the rest of us can we can party a little. Pluto is going to be moving out of the sign of Aquarius and out of the sign of Capricorn and into the sign of Aquarius. This is a big deal, and I advise you to pay attention to what happens over the 2 to 3 months that it's in Aquarius, because you're getting an idea or a feel of what the next 20 years is going to be like for you. Remember, Pluto went into Capricorn in like 2008, and it's only now just starting to leave. Pluto is a generational planet. It takes a long time to transit a sign. So pay attention to that, and I think we're going to feel this one almost like immediately. When it comes to, as if that wasn't enough, Mars has been in Gemini. Gemini is a dual sign. It goes one way or the other. Mars likes direct energy, direct focus. It doesn't like to go retrograde. So it's not just in a sign that it doesn't do well because there's too much to do or there's not enough directional focus. It's also gone retrograde. So when it comes into the sign of Cancer in March, this is going to be a welcome break, not just for us, but also for Mars, because he's going to say, right, I know what I need to focus on now. I've got one prime directive and I can put my energy behind that. Even though Mars is technically in its full, in the sign of Cancer, so it's actually the worst sign, they say, for Mars to be in, unless this is in your 6th house. Now, in order to find out how all of these big transits that I'm mentioning here speak to you and your sign and your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, for $4.99, I have created your Astro Taroscopes for 2023. You're getting a 90-minute video, including a tarot breakdown like this, your lunations, the eclipse mentions, all in different sections this year. You asked, I listened. On top of that, you're also getting a 19 plus page or PDF printable page that's going to tell you how these transits are going to affect specifically your sign, your sun, your moon, or your ascendant. You can get one for $4.99. You can get your big 3 for $14.97, or you can get the bundle of all 12 for $24.99. You can get those on the link in the description box below, or one of those little things that floats above my head if you haven't seen it already. I advise you to get those. I put so much into them, even more than I've put into these this year, so you can imagine. All right, for March, you have the High Priestess. Hidden things are revealed, and I've a feeling that this is probably you now ready to share whatever it is that shows up for you, whatever big thing that it is that happens for you in January. It's here in March that you're able to talk about it. And I wonder if for some of you, this is going to be a pregnancy then. The reason I say that is because, you know, they say in the first trimester of a pregnancy, you're not supposed to tell anybody. For those in the spiritual world, you know why. For those out of it, I don't know what the rules and regs are about it, but it's like an unspoken thing. What I will say to you though, is this could be where you're revealing something like that. And for all of you, this is the Page of Cups, right? So whatever's happening in March, pay close attention to, because you're going to be revisiting it here in July, all right? Whatever is showing up for you, whatever connections are happening, whatever relationships, partnerships, collaborations are formed in the month of March, you will be revisiting that in July. So I'm intrigued now to see what's happening in July, because that's a time sequence. What I can also tell you as well is something, I mean, my money is on a pregnancy for those of you that are in said situations, especially for those of you that have gone through things like IVF, If you have, especially if you've had IVF and it failed, if you've tried that and it's like, well, this is our last cycle, we're not going to do it again because we can't afford it, or whatever, this will be it, right? This will be the one where it happens and you go on to have your wonderful baby. For some of you, this will be a new business. For some of you, this could be starting your journey towards becoming a psychic, a seer, an astrologer, a tarot reader. Maybe some of you are taking my tarot course in March. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. Now, for April is a big month because this is the first eclipse in the sign of Aries. Now, the reason this is a big deal is the nodes are now going to start, well, the eclipses anyway, will start shifting from the Taurus Scorpio axis right through to the Aries and Libra axis. Now, this is a big deal because the last two eclipses this year in Scorpio and Taurus, they wrap that up. Whatever's happening in April is giving you a heads up of what you're getting between now and the end of 2024. Pay attention to April. It's not a time to sleep on. All right. For April, you have the World card. So for a lot of you, this is a moment of graduation. This is a moment where something comes good, some hard work or results from it. Look, and you've got the Page of Pentacles. Wow. Right. So the first thing that we see here, two pages represents disquiet. March and April are going to be loud months, loud, potentially very dynamic months. There's a lot going on here. The other thing with the Page of Pentacles, for some of you, this could be stepping into a new business. For some of you, could be starting a new business. For others, this might be where the business that you have really starts to pick up. Especially with that World card, your business could start looking at becoming a global brand. Maybe it starts to get bigger. Maybe this is where you're taking on first employees, etc. Another way that you could see that, it's not technically a time sequence, but I'm going to throw it in just in case. Whatever's happening in April, keep your eye on, because you may be revisiting that in December of 2023 and January of the following year of 2024. It's not a guarantee with this one, but it is a potential. Now, the other thing that comes through here as well, this could be where you're working in or with a larger institution. So it's interesting because February could see you kind of worried about, like, like that whole, are they going to take me? Do they want to work with me or not? And it's like, maybe you hear nothing, right? So you initiate something in January or February, you put it out there, and then you just kind of wait. And it's static, silence. You're hearing nothing. And it's like, oh, is there anything going to happen? And then bam, April comes in, and this is where it's a go. We want you. We want to work with you. We want to collaborate with you. We love what you've been doing so far. For some of you, like I said, you could be going back to school or you could be starting a new job, but you're definitely moving to another level in April. So whatever's happening here for you is great. Full moon, lunar eclipse in the month of May. As if that wasn't enough, Mercury is also retrograde. As if that wasn't enough, Jupiter is moving out of the sign of Aries, thank you, and into the sign of Taurus. The reason I say thank you there is because we've got this eclipse energy happening now, and an eclipse is with the Jupiter energy. I think in the sign of Aries, it might be a bit much. So I'm kind of glad that we've got that shift taking place this year, to be honest. I mean, even though, Jupiter will be in Aries at the time of this eclipse, so we'll see how it plays out. That Jupiter transit as well, Jupiter is coming into the sign of Taurus, and it will stay there. For the last few years, it's dipped out of the sign that it's in while it's retrograde, gone back into the previous sign, and then come back in. That's not happening this time. Once it goes into Taurus, it will stay in Taurus, which is a big deal for all of us. Check where Taurus is in your chart. If you want to find out, you know what to do. All right. So for May, you've got the Hermit card. So it looks like you guys are laying low in the month of May, right? Not because there's anything major or awful going on, but you are doing what I advised you to do this year, taking some time out for yourself. This is where you're probably withdrawing from the world because you're working very hard behind the scenes on something that has finally come to fruition. You've got this with the Eight of Swords. So whatever it is, it's almost, there's two things that come up with this. One, You might be in a position where you're not allowed to talk about whatever it is that you're working on. 2, you may be so busy that you just don't really have the time to check in with people and let them know what's going on. But you are definitely, like, May is definitely going to be a solitary month. May is definitely an energy where you are spending some serious time alone, and you know, it doesn't have to be detrimental. This might literally just be your way of saying, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do some self-care, I'm going to look after myself, I'm going to have a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a whole month out, right? Either which way, you're still working very hard. As you come into June, you've got the Temperance card. This could be where you're starting to regulate, right? Where you're really starting to feel a lot more balanced, where you're really starting to feel a lot more aligned to your path and your goals. I think at this point in May, it's kind of like, okay, there's just a lot to do right now. And so everything else kind of has to take a back seat. Whereas in June, it's like, okay, I can finally see, you know, it's like when you've got like a really long to-do list, and you just absolutely go hammer and tongs at it and you start crossing things off, and before you know it, you're like, whew, okay, I've only got 5 things to do, and then it's done, right? Like, this is where you can kind of see the wood for the trees. You've got this with the Ace of Pentacles. This is also where you're starting to see some of the material rewards for your hard efforts, which is great. This could also be either, so for some of you, this might be an interview. For others, this could potentially be you checking out either a home, or I probably wouldn't say a home, this looks more like land. You could be checking out some kind of land, some kind of property purchase. For others, this could be maybe about, like, not so much an investment as in like a traditional investment, but maybe you're looking at or trying to get an angel investor, somebody that can, do you know what I mean? Like, can come in and help you with certain things. I like June. I actually really like it. Now, what I will say is May through August is the challenging time for the year. So this, I mean, so far it seems to be pretty good for you. You've got the Moon card. Speaks too soon, right? But this means that the past is coming up. In some way, shape or form, you're very much looking back. You're very reflective at this time. To give it some context, you've got the Ten of Pentacles. So I said about a property purchase, and look at this, right? So for some of you, if you are planning to buy either land or a house, it looks like you're purchasing or buying in a place that you know, a place from your past. It might be as well, there's some potentially, like on the heavier side of that combination, there could be some potential challenges or worries around a home, the finances of the home, the money, the resources. You've got the Ace and the Ten of Pentacles. These are both cards of really great money though. And so I feel like this is a purchase goes off without a hitch. The one thing that I do want to stress to you, 2023 is going to be a year where people convince themselves they can fly and they've never even taken a hang glide or a parachute jump. It's really important that you don't do that. So and it looks like a lot of you will be in a position to buy a house next year. Absolutely, especially in June and July. The challenge that I have with that Ten of Pentacles with the Moon, it's almost like you've got 2 options, let's say. One of them's like a, good 3-4 bedrooms. It's everything, it will do everything that it needs to, and it's actually quite nice and you like it. And then you get stars in your eyes because you see a 7-bed mansion that, it's only an extra 25k, which, in the grand scheme of things, when you're buying a house in these times, it really isn't that much. If it's too much and you know it's too much, exercise some restraint here in July, all right? That's the caution. Outside of that, I think if you're purchasing a home, it's like you're doing it in a place that you've already lived. You're doing it in a place that you're from. Maybe you're going back to the hometown. Maybe you're going to one of the lands of your heritage, so maybe your distant past. For August, you have the Lovers card. Okay, the Lovers has been really active for August, as was, I think it was the Devil as well, which is very, very interesting. And the reason being is the Devil card is number 15, 1 and 5 gives you 6. The Lovers card is number 6. The choices that you make here in August are going to have far-reaching ripples and potentially consequences. So you just want to be making sure that you're making mindful choices. You got this with the Wheel of Fortune though. I mean, look at that, right? So for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, whatever worries or issues you had around the relationship here in February, they are likely to mend here in August. This could be a time where actually you and your partner have a heart-to-heart. Maybe you and a partner are saying, okay, you know what, we've got through that hard sort of moment and actually I feel all right about this now. I think this is a very good thing. I really do like this for your relationship, and I like this for traveling with your significant other. So if you have children, unless you're actually pregnant, you're leaving the kids at home, all right? This is you and your significant other traveling together, son's child, or children. For those of you that are single, this could be wonderful, because this could be a month where you're meeting someone, connecting with someone, potentially somebody from overseas or somebody that you meet while you're on your travels, which is very possible. Here's where this gets interesting though. I kind of get the feeling that you're meeting them as a result of wherever it is that you're going here in July. So if you're planning to move back to a place, it's like you meet somebody on that journey, but they don't live in that place that you're planning to go to. So that could be an interesting twist. You've got the Wheel of Fortune, number 10. You've got the 10 of Pentacles. 2 10s represents change, and usually it's big change at that. For a select few of you, whether you're partnered or married and you know something's coming to an end, it's possible for a few of you, a very few, minute few of you, you could be going back to dating somebody that you already know, or potentially somebody that you've already dated. For those of you that are single, it's less likely. For those of you that are partnered and married and that are deciding to go their separate ways, that's more likely. If I'm honest, because you've got the Moon card in July, I would advise against it, but of course it's your choice. You always have free will. September, Mercury will be retrograde in the sign of Virgo. And for this, you have the Star card. So you are traveling here in September as well. What I love about this is you're reaching far and wide. And September is probably going to be a month where you really start to understand how bright your future actually is, and where you're really starting to see the right connections that you need to advance your life and your business. Now you've got this with the Queen of Wands, usually a fire sign woman, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. The weird thing is, I kind of get the feeling this person's going to have like red hair, whether it's naturally red or dyed red or Rihanna red. Do you know what I mean? Like there's something about this person. It's not just because it's the card and it's the Queen of Wands, but there's something about this. I really feel like this person has red hair. And I can't describe it. It's just like a really palpable feeling. Remember as well that the Queen of Wands is also a card of boundaries, and so this with that Star card, this might be a time where you're having a social media detox, where you're saying, you know what, I need to get out of this world for a bit because it's kind of doing me, you know, it's not doing me any favors. You might also be rethinking some of your long-term plans at this moment in time, like things that you have for your big future, for where you eventually want to end up. And I don't care who you are, I think everybody has like long-term future plans. Like, you know what, when I'm getting to that point where, you know, I know I'm going to need to, you know, think about getting old or whatever, I want to be here looking like this and having this by that point, right? Like everyone has some form of long range goal or plan. And I think this is where you're getting really clear on what yours are. October, final eclipse in Taurus, and that will be well and truly us done with those. It won't just be confined to October though. Obviously it's going to spill over into the year following just a little bit, but by then we will be in Aries and Libra season for real, for real. What also comes through here in October is the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. The first of its kind, or the first of its name, as they say in Game of Thrones. So for this, you've got the Justice card in Libra season, which is really interesting. So this could be where you're potentially signing new contracts. Maybe you are gaining new legal professional advice over something, which I would advise you to do. You've got this with the Six of Wands, which means the purchase that you are planning here in June and July, whatever you're putting in to buy, October will be when it comes good. All right, so don't worry if there are delays and setbacks with this, especially because some of you, it looks like you're dealing with something quite far away, maybe possibly even abroad. If that is the case and there's delays, don't fret about it. Really don't, because whatever it is that you're signing, whatever it is that you're trying to buy, it goes in your favor. Now, that's wonderful because it's the Six of Wands, but if it's an overreach, you need to check yourself here in July, because you're going to get it, right? And sometimes it's, it's that whole thing of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. All right, for November, you've got the Hanged Man. So this is you taking stock, enjoying, right? Taking a minute to really kind of get into, wow, I made it. I've done it. This is what I wanted. And look, I arrived here. I really like that. You've got this with the Four of Pentacles. So around finances, money and resources, this would actually be a really good time to see a financial advisor, just to make sure that now that you've acquired whatever it is that you were hoping to, or invested or whatever, you just want to make sure that everything's in good health. The other thing that I'll say to you is, if you are prone to overindulgence of alcohol, substances, I'm not talking about food or sugar, those are their own things. The reason I say this is the Four of Pentacles can sometimes speak to the liver, and you've got this here with the Hanged Man, which is Neptune energy, which talks about drinking and or mind-altering substances. You could take it well and truly too far in November, and so if you partake in any form of adult entertainment or pleasure, just be mindful around this time, because you might, end up doing some not irreparable, well, yeah, potentially irreparable damage. I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice, but this would be a time to really not overindulge in, like I said, any adult sweeties, let's say. For December, you have the Death card, endings, completions, culminations. This is actually not a bad card to have for December, because it means that whatever has happened in this year, you're leaving it in 2023, right? So it's like it's not following over or spilling over into the next year. This year is going to be, it's kind of going to be like a, and they are anyway, but this year is going to be kind of like a mini life condensed into a year, right? Like there's going to be so much that happens in this year for you, I think. And you've got this with the Eight of Pentacles. For a lot of you, you could be leaving a job in December. You could be ending a business, you could be leaving a job, walking away from a job. Maybe for some of you, you're selling a business. That's also a death of sorts, right? Because you're letting it go or you're releasing it. But that Eight of Pentacles is all about work, business, finances, etc. So, my advice would be, especially in July, whatever you're purchasing, whatever you're getting, you will get it. I've got no doubts about it, but just make sure that it's not a complete overreach. Remember as well, whatever's happening in March here, you're revisiting here in July, or you're seeing, certainly starting to see what March has set into motion for you. Okay. And your key to the year is endurance. This card is actually about money, finances, but it's about not living by your instincts or your impulses. It's about having more sense than that and saying, okay, this is what I would really want, but this is what I can actually have. And you know what? I'll be content in that because this is the right stepping stone. But it's also about not kind of living in fear of everything that could happen. And I kind of feel like that's what the Tower's message for this whole year is. There are going to be big changes here. There are going to be moments where it's like, well, thought was doing that, apparently not, going that way now. And it's like, if you live in fear and constantly on instinctual alert for that, you're going to burn out your adrenals, you're going to burn out your nervous system. This year is really trying to teach you about acceptance. And more importantly, it's trying to give you endurance. Your challenge months this year, straight out the gate, January, February, I think May could be a challenge month, but literally just because you're more of a... 9 people tend to be quite social. They need people. They're very humanitarian. So you might struggle a bit with May, but it's actually going to do you the world of good. Challenge month, probably going to be potentially November if you overindulge. December, because you're letting something go. Power months, March, April, June. I think July and August even. July and August, I think March, April, June, power months. August, power months. September, October, power months. Absolutely. July, I think, is going to be kind of both. All in all, I think it's going to be a really interesting year for you guys. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. I can't wait to hear from you in the comments. I can't wait to interact with you in there. Check in on this month by month, every 2 months, every 3 months, every 6 months, however it speaks to you. I really hope that it helps you and supports you for the year ahead and helps you get ahead to have the best year that you possibly can. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.